$1.87. And 67 cents of it was in pennies. Pennies fought for, trying to bulldoze the butcher, the vegetable man. She counted it again. She counted it 3 times. $1.87, and tomorrow was Christmas. She did the only thing she could do. She threw herself on the couch and started to cry. You see, there are 3 phases in life. There's the sobs, the sniffles, and the smiles, with the sniffles predominating. While Della, for that's her name, is going from phase 1 to phase 2. Let's look at the flat. It is $8 a week, furnished. Downstairs in the vestibule is a letterbox, which hardly any letter can get into, and a buzzer next to it, which no human hand can ring. And on the letterbox, appertained thereto, it says, Mr. James Dillingham Young. The Dillingham had been placed there when the master of the house was making $30 a week, but now that he was making only $20, they were thinking of reducing it to just the D. But nevertheless, whenever Mr. James Dillingham Young came home and ran up the stairs to the rented flat, he was greeted by hugs and kisses by Mrs. Dillingham Young, whom you've already met as Della. And this was very good. Once Della had finished crying, she took a powder rag and touched her cheeks. And then she went over to the window. It was a very gray day. She saw a gray cat walking along a gray fence in a gray yard. $1.87. She had tried so hard to save more. She wanted so much to buy a present for Jim. Something special, something for Christmas just for her, Jim. But what can you buy with $1.87? $20. She tried so hard to save from the $20, but things are always more expensive than it seems. She didn't know what to do. There was a window on each side of a mirror. She went from one window, spun around, and faced herself in the big mirror. Her cheeks grew very pale, her eyes very bright. She suddenly took out all the pins in her hair, and her hair fell down, cascading around her, beautiful and brown, going all the way below her knees. There were 2 treasures in this flat. One was Jim's watch, beautiful, gold, had belonged to his father and his grandfather. The other was Della's hair. If the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across the air shaft, Della would have every right, on occasion, to flip her hair out the window and watch the Queen be jealous because Della's hair was better than all the jewels that the Queen possessed. If King Solomon was the janitor in the building and lived in the basement with all of his wealth, Jim would have every right to open up his watch in front of the old man and watch him tweak his beard with envy. Della kept staring at herself. Her eyes grew brighter, her cheeks pale. Suddenly, she put the pins back into her hair. She put on the old brown hat, the old brown coat, and then headed for the door. On her way, a few tears fell and dropped on the old ragged red rug, but she was resolved. Out the door of the flat she went, down the several flights of steps, out the front door, and then she walked along the streets until she found a sign that read, Madame Safrani, hair goods of all kinds. Della ran upstairs. She met the madam and said, will you buy my hair? The madam said, take it down, I will look at it. Off went the hat, out went the pins, and with a practiced hand, the madam lifted the hair. I give take it and make it quick. Della sat very still while the scissors did their job. But when the dam was done, she gave Della $20. On went the old brown hat, on went the old brown coat. Out the door went Della, down the one flight of steps, and then out into the street. Wings flew like hours as she Forget the hashed metaphor. Della was ransacking every store she could walk into, looking for the perfect present for Jim. She went in one store and then another. She couldn't find anything until she saw it. It was a beautiful platinum watch fob. She hadn't seen anything like it in any of the other stores. It was elegant and refined, not ostentatious, but simple. Just like her Jim. Elegant and fine. It cost $21. She handed over the money, and happily she took the fob. You see, poor Jim, he didn't have a fob to go with his watch. It was just an old leather piece. But this fob. Happily she ran home. But when she saw herself in the mirror, she knew what she had to do. She got the hair curler, turned on the gas, heated it up, and then began to make little tight curls all over her head. It took her about 40 minutes, but when she was finished, she looked a little bit like a truant schoolboy. And then she thought, well, if Jim doesn't hate me, perhaps he'll think I look like a Coney Island little chorus girl. Jim always arrived at 7. He was never late. So Adela put the coffee on and heated up the pan with the chops. And then she took the watch fob into her hand and sat in a chair near the door that he would enter. And she waited. Soon she heard him come in, the front door downstairs, and she thought, oh God, please let him think I'm still pretty. And then she heard him come up the steps. Jim opened the door, came in and closed it. He was tall, looked very tired. There was always a worried look in his face. He was only 22. He needed a new coat and he had no gloves. And he closed the door and looked at Della. And she could not understand what his expression meant. It wasn't anything she expected. It wasn't shock or horror or anger or... She couldn't figure it out. He just stared at her. And suddenly she said, Jim, I know. My hair's gone. I cut it. But I did it for you, Jim. And then you see why I did it. But Jim, stop looking at me that way. Say Merry Christmas and Jim. And then he kept looking at her again, and finally he said, your hair is gone. Yes, Jim, I know. And you needn't look for it around here. It's gone. Oh, Jim, you could count the hairs on my head, but you cannot count the number of ways I love you. And when you see how I spend it, it'll grow back, Jim. I'll go put the chops on. And then he went over to Della, gave her a big hug and a kiss, and he said, Dell, I'll always love you. It doesn't matter about your hair or the shampoo or the cut, nothing, but, well, you just had me going for a while, and, well, here's what I got for you. And he gave her a present. It was wrapped in plain white paper with white string. Oh, thank you, Jim. She undid the string, opened the paper. Oh, Jim, they're beautiful. The combs I've always wanted. These Broadway shop. Oh, Jim, they're so expensive. Oh, look at that tortoiseshell and those beautiful jewels. These clothes are just gorgeous. Oh, Jim, thank you. They'll look so beautiful in my... Here. Oh. Jim, my hair grows back. Oh, you haven't seen your present. She opened up her hand, and there was the platinum watch fob. It was a very plain metal, but it was sparkling now because it was picking up the reflection of her eyes. Jim, get out your watch. Oh, come on, get out your watch. And take out that old leather band. I want to see what it looks like. Oh, now, you can look at the time as many times during the day as you want. You won't be embarrassed because you'll have this watch fob. Jim. But Jim just went over to the couch and sat down. Dell, perhaps these gifts are, oh, maybe we should just put these gifts away for a while. Why don't you, well, you see, it's this way. I sold the watch to buy you the combs. So, put the chops on. Now, the wise men were very wise. And being wise, they took presents to the babe in the manger. And I'm sure that they were very wise gifts. In fact, it is because of the wise men that we now have gift giving for Christmas time. But I have just related to you the story of two foolish people who unselfishly sacrificed the treasures in their home for each other. So, to the wise today, let it be known that of all who give and receive presents, such as these two, they are wise, because these two